Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Who the hell am I?
I'm a construction worker.
I have to go to the bathroom. I said, be right back.
I'm a cop, you idiot!
Pastor.
Oh! I'm Detective John Kimball.
Who is your daddy?
Answer the question!
And what does he do?
Put that cookie down! Now!
Oh, folks, welcome to Into the Mystery Universe.
Welcome.
What is this, the 20th episode?
It could be.
This one goes down smooth for me. Like, I lost count, and I don't care.
I'm not even keeping track. We've been doing this for, 14 years now? It's fine.
Yeah, something like that. Big old thank you to our producer, Norm from Cheers, who is our producer behind all of this. The one behind the curtain. They are making it all happen for us and for you. And this is a podcast where we've been going through Arnold Schwarzenegger films to talk about him as an actor.
Yeah.
We talk about the plot. We then go into Technically Not Arnold, where we talk about Arnold's performance. Then we go into Definitely Not Arnold, where we talk about our best side characters. Then we talk about the most Arnold moment. And at the end, we'll give it, of course, a rating system of our spy cigarettes. Classic rating system.
It's the rating system we've used for every episode.
Yep.
You guys have known and grown familiar with it, have come to love it, actually. So,
of course,
all the postcards and very thought-felt gifts and notes you guys send us every year around the holidays to thank us for it are appreciated.
Yep. Also, I feel like we didn't say our names.
It doesn't matter. I'm Tom Ryman.
All right, I'm David Bell.
I beat you, Dave. I beat you.
Let him earn it. Let him earn it.
This
is we're covering 1994's True Lies, which is currently available in one of two ways. It is finally getting a re-release, right? It
is a movie that was famously not on any high definition format. Like this and The Abyss, I believe, are the two Cameron movies that have yet to be on Blu-ray.
I have them both on really good DVDs that when I pop them in, they're like tiny on the screen. Yeah. Because their resolution isn't big. Yeah, it is wild to me that these two movies, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes.
Everything that I've read over the past 20 years, and this sounds true, is that Cameron is just so hyper. Well, Cameron. He has to personally oversee the transfer, the remastering, the resolution, and all that stuff. And he's been doing that at the same time that he's been trying to make 4 Avatar sequels.
Yeah,
so I think it's just that. Yeah, I think it's just that.
And he's in the ocean. Yeah, I would argue.
Right, it's hard to remaster True Lies when you're at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get it on DVD. You can also get it on Hulu.
Yeah.
Which I just keep getting Hulu for a month and canceling it because it costs $8 with ads, and I'm just like, no.
It's atrocious the how much these things are costing, but we don't need to get.
We don't need to get into that. That's all to say that I want to point out that I think this movie and The Abyss, but we're not talking about that. This is a weird statement because it might not sound true. I think they're underrated. I think, but they're not underrated in the way that whenever it's brought up, people are like, those movies are awesome. My thoughts is why don't we talk about how awesome they are more? In terms of at least the action. And the effects. There's obviously some very dated aspects to this film.
For sure. For sure. But it wasn't as bad as I was bracing for. I will give the movie that. But yeah.
Yeah. But it's just weird that we don't talk about this movie because I think this is one of the best action films ever made.
It's weird that it's almost impossible to find it online to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and again,
it's been that way for years,
right? And this should really be considered
This is
It's
top
just,
tier.
again,
This is in my opinion, it's one of Arnold's best movies, easily.
Yeah, 100%. And it's one of Cameron's best movies. And again, just talking about the action is incredible.
It's pretty awesome.
I think it's actually a little before its time, too.
It's right. That was a thing that was striking me as I was watching it this time. It had been several years since I'd seen it before rewatching it for this episode. It feels like 10 years more modern than it is. It feels like a movie that it came out maybe 15 years ago, you know?
Yeah. No, it feels some of the humor and it's a little superhero-ish. And what I mean by that is the humor is a little meta, more subtly meta. It's just a very ambitious film. The pacing is bizarre.
It is.
And yet it works because the movie, I mean, for people who've seen it, they know famously just, and I guess I forget this every time, it just halts the story to tell a completely other story for like 30 minutes. This side plot with Arnold and his wife, and that's sort of the catch of it. Like it's almost like something like Barbarian, where it's like it's designed for that reason.
Right.
So it's not bad.
One of my favorite things about it is it begins like a straightforward action movie where he's like devil may care super spy. Something happens to wound his ego. He's losing his family. So the movie completely changes into this funny kind of comedy of this ultra paranoid dude gaslighting his wife, basically.
Yeah.
But so you have completely forgotten about the bad guys, and then the bad guys burst in and drag him back into the action movie that was in progress. He's doing a bad job,
right?
As a
spy.
He's completely on tilt, and I want to talk about that so much in Technically Not Arnold. But like, I love that when the bad guys kick the door in, when he's doing the little dance scene with Jamie Lee Curtis as her quote unquote covert mission, it's like literally the bad guys kicking in the door in our brains too. Because it's like, hey, remember us? There's a fucking nuclear threat going on while you're doing this.
You forget. Again, he should be super fired.
Oh, yeah. He should be in prison.
His boss, Cheston, is just like, you need to figure this out before someone bombs the White House. And then he just completely forgets.
Yep.
And that's, again, the point. It's very meta. It's a little cartoonish in that way. It's almost, we just covered Last Action Hero. Tonally, I actually think it's similar because you have this idea that like the I Married Rambo stuff, where he is over the top action guy to the point that it's made to be funny, right?
Right.
Like the opening scene
he's impossibly adept.
Yeah. And the whole world is silly. Like the opening scene feels like an Archer episode.
Yes, it's very Archer.
He scuba dives in and then takes off his scuba suit and he's wearing a perfect tux. He's really smooth talking. And then there's skiing henchmen that I guess are on call, and it's in like death is meaningless. You know, like he can't die. That's the thing they establish right away. It's like he says all the right things and he can't die. So what's gonna be the actual challenge? It's going to be an emotional challenge. It's going to be a personal challenge between him and his family.
Yeah.
And that's such a good idea when you know, like, it doesn't matter. Death is meaningless. Jamie Lee Curtis drops a gun and it kills everybody rolling down the steps.
She kills so many men in that one instant. She kills 12 men. She probably...
Yeah.
Like a scene before that is when Arnold's on the truth serum and she asks him if he's ever killed anyone. He's like, yeah, but they were all bad. So one scene later, she's probably come like within 60% of tying his record, right? Like she killed 12 men. He's probably killed what? Actually, no, we see him kill like 30 in the opening scene. So he's probably killed like 300 people in the past year.
In his career, like who knows?
Right, his career, it's probably like rushing yards. It's like thousands of men.
Oh, yeah. But, like, that's the point, right? Is like, they knew right away, okay, there's no stakes here. The action is amazing, don't get me wrong, but they know we're making a superhero film. He's a superhero.
Right, and Arnold's always in control, pretty much. The bad guys are scared of him. It's very...
Right.
Yeah.
And the best superhero films are the ones that focus on different stakes, emotional stakes, and that's what this does. It's
right.
Not,
you can't test the hero with the thing that they're incredible at, or else it's not a test.
Right. Yeah. So again, very before its time.
Yeah.
And the action, my fucking God.
The Key West bridge scene Holy
it's
shit,
one of the best
Dave.
action sequences
Holy
ever.
shit, Dave.
Yeah. What's nuts about if you haven't seen this movie, just go see it.
Watch it. Be prepared for some light mid-90s racism.
Yes, of course.
It's not super overt, but it is there.
This movie is both somehow pre 9/11 and post 9/11.
Yeah, simultaneously.
Yeah. It has like it's as naive as pre 9/11, but it's as racist as post 9/11. It's weird. That's
I did appreciate that the bad guys detonate a test nuke to show like that. They don't
right.
Like
I also
anyway.
The main bad guy. I kind of think he's cool. Like that's weird to say.
He also has like legitimate grievances.
Yeah, but they make him like when he's firing guns, he's kind of an action star. Like there's a shot where he takes out the bazooka and he throws his gun to another guy, kicks a box open,
and swings it up.
And it's just like, oh, this guy's so fucking cool.
Right, and then after the explosion, it cuts back to him and he pumps his fist. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's kind of like Arnold.
I don't know if it was Cameron who did it or if it was the actor.
Art Malik, I believe, is how you pronounce his name.
Oh, word. But like he knew to give him a depth there to make him interesting and fun to watch, and he is.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I don't want to give Cameron more credit than he would deserve for that, but that's present in a lot of his movies where he knows to give a little bit of character to the bad guy. And
right.
of course, this actor is so great in this role. He's a very, like you said, he's got, even though like they introduce him with an anti-save the cat moment where he slaps the shit out of Tia Carrera. So it's like you're immediately like, oh, I don't like this guy, but then they make him cool.
Right, he's still a villain. He's still a
villain. Yeah,
but he's formidable, which is nice, and he's crafty. I don't know, James Cameron. I feel like I don't know how much of an actor director he is. He certainly seems to trust the instinct of his actors. It feels like, at least, like I don't know if he's just going to actors and being like, yes, do that. That's a good idea, or if he has the ideas. I don't know. I
will say that Arnold is never as good as he is. I won't say that, but Arnold is really good in Cameron movies in a way that he's not in his other action movies. And also, fucking I don't think I can think of anybody else who let Bill Paxton go off the chain as much as like James Cameron is the reason Bill Paxton has a career because he let him just do what Bill Paxton does, and you don't really get to see that in too many other movies until like Predator 2. But that Predator 2 Bill Paxton, they cast him based on Aliens and all of his Jim Cameron movies.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. So I think there's probably something in it. I think I probably agree with that. Yeah, with what you said.
There's a magic here. There's a magic here between them, and I don't know exactly what that magic is. I just know that it's there.
Yeah.
Because we weren't there. We didn't.
Everybody has their every filmmaker has their collaborators that they everybody has their core team that they just click with.
Right. I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the next segment, but I do want to stress, like, just going through the action scenes. There's the one that. There's the horse. There's the bathroom scene. That alone is really good. He adds all the elements you need, right? You have an old man in one of the stalls, so you have like the comedy. You have that constant Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of like apologizing for the situation.
Yeah.
The shootout.
Sorry.
Yeah. He has these steps. He never has like the game as much, but he has these he's really good with the pacing. With he fights this guy, he puts his head in the urinal. He says, "Cool off." He grabs him to handcuff him. The bad guy comes in. He shoots. Arnold has to jump. Then we get the stall situation where he's going stall to stall, and then Arnold has to fling across the room to get a gun. Once he gets that gun, the bad guy no longer has the upper hand, so he has to retreat. Like it's all these causes and effects. They both have to reload at that point. We have a moment, a beat.
It's a good. It's a tug of war, and a lot of these. Yeah. A lot of this. I mean, not a lot of the sequences have this, but this one definitely does.
Yeah, and then you do the bit with Tom Arnold where he shoots at Tom Arnold and it misses every time because again he knows that it's like it's about the spectacle here. We don't need to feel scared for Tom Arnold. It's funny. It's still funny. Then, of course, it's like he gets on a motorcycle. What should Arnold get on? Oh, a horse, obviously. Where should they go? Oh, get them to go inside a fucking hotel and go to the top floor. Like, that's such a great escalation.
Well, yeah,
and
he
then
chases
the bad
him,
guy,
like, across town, through, like, a mall, I think, through the subway,
Right.
I think, and then into the hotel.
and then something that I think a lot of modern action doesn't understand is he gives the bad guy the upper hand. The bad guy is essentially the action hero of this sequence because he jumps the fucking building into a pool. He does the big grand stunt, not Arnold, and Arnold fails it because his horse gets scared, and
Yeah.
then he does a bit with a horse, and that's great.
If he had jumped that horse off that building,
Died.
there would be a dead horse and a dead super spy in the street
Right.
below.
And it
That horse
speaks to
was
his
not
character.
making that jump. Yeah, it does.
Right, it's such a good idea that
Yeah.
Arnold is about to do something incredibly impulsive and stupid.
Right.
to the
Something
point
that will
the
obviously
horse-
fail. Yeah.
Yeah, the horse has to stop him. That's great.
Yeah.
That's so good. And this is of course downtown LA. For some reason they want us to think Washington DC is filled with
has
skyscrapers.
Skyscrapers.
But whatever. Great fucking sequence.
It's so good.
Yeah, and then the Key West one again. An incredible.
I can't say enough about the Key West sequence. That this is like my man. Top,
And they did
top
the
5
stunt,
favorite
right?
sequences in film. Oh yeah, that's practical.
They had Jamie Lee Curtis. I guess she was like strapped to Arnold.
Well-
and I'm sure the wides were stunt people.
Yes.
But there's a couple close-ups where I remember like watching a special on it. And
Yeah.
how they like just shot her hanging from, I don't think it was Arnold's arm actually. I bet it was just a stuntman's arm.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is that shot, the reverse shot of her hanging out of the bottom of the helicopter. That,
Yeah.
as far as I know, that's they did that. And I do remember seeing the TV special that you talked about.
Oh yeah. And so like
But
the
and
idea
then,
of this
of course,
limousine that goes out of control and she has to get, and they do it. He doesn't yank her out. The limousine falls from under her. That's so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's all done practically because this time we didn't have the ability to.
It's such a
But also James Cameron would know better, I feel like.
man, that shot. This is stunt people, but this is
Yeah.
the shot where the car drops out from under her and she's holding onto Arnold's arm and the helicopter lifts off as the limousine falls off the bridge of the ocean. That's the coolest fucking shot, Dave.
Yeah.
My God.
It's like Fury Road. It's like Fury
It's
Road. shot.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
This scene is awesome.
It's so good. And it like there's, of course, she has to fight in the limousine.
Yeah, she's got to fight Tia
Arnold
Carrera.
has to swoop in. And again, Arnold's not doing much. He's sort of an assist in this scene.
Yeah, it's about Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right, because the other half of this is they're creating a buddy comedy. And of course, a buddy comedy, you need one of the people to be like freaking out, being like, I can't fucking believe any of this is happening. And what a great basic premise of a top secret James Bond spy who doesn't tell his family that he's that, and his wife goes on an adventure with him and learns. Like, that's such a good fucking
Yeah. And
little
man,
adventure.
she's so good.
It only
in
happens in the last half too. Yeah,
It does.
she kind of I don't like, obviously Arnold is doing an amazing job, but she works so well, I don't know if the film would have worked as
Oh no!
good
I mean,
without her.
do we wait until definitely not Arnold
Yeah,
to talk about her?
probably,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, because I have a lot I
But
want to say about Jamie Lee in this movie.
they should have done more films together because their fucking charisma is off the charts.
Yeah, and she's great.
Um,
I can't understand why she didn't do more. I mean, I can't understand why she didn't do more. I take that fucking right out of my mouth.
Right.
I was about to say I can't understand why she didn't do more Cameron movies.
Oh yeah.
She should have though. I don't know. Maybe he
Oh,
sucks. Maybe he sucked to her. I don't know.
I mean, he's a real pain in the ass. He
He's a
makes good
legendary
movies, but-
pain in the ass.
Yeah. And here's what's nuts is that the Florida Keys scene, you're like, wow, all right, fade out, credits. And they're like, we got one more thing. And it's a fight on top of a Harrier jet. And that is such a good idea for an action sequence. Just fucking Arnold spinning around a skyscraper on a jet, trying to save his daughter, people jumping on it, him firing the bad guy from a missile, saying you're fired.
Yep. Into a helicopter full of the other bad guys.
That is so fucking good.
That's
After
maximum
they've already had
Arnold.
a nuke has already gone off. He smooches his wife to a nuke, and you're like, how can this get any more awesome? And they're like, oh, we know.
I love the fucking balls out blatant symbolism of that. It's like right as they smooch, the mushroom cloud goes off, and it's like, the spark has been reignited, but it's a mushroom cloud this time.
Yeah,
I love it, Dave.
I love it too. I want to talk about. We should talk about it in the next segment, actually. So
okay.
I'll wait. But yeah, that Harrier jet nailing him in the balls, just wrecking the bad guy, firing from a missile, which is ridiculously irresponsible, by the way.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't know where that missile's going to go.
And also, that helicopter is coming screaming and flaming, and all of its twisted wreckage down to the street below.
Yeah. He fired a missile over a city. He did terrorism.
He sure did. He did some light terrorism.
No one told him to do that. He really needs to go to jail.
Right. He stole a military aircraft.
Yeah. And then fired a missile in a city. It's nuts. But that sequence, my God.
No.
They do good work with the daughter as well, of showing how like her parents are both maniacs. So yeah, I believe that she would grab that key and run, because I'm like, well, this is a family of maniacs, it turns out. So
yeah,
it works. Should we talk about Technically Not Arnold?
I think we should.
All right. I want to bring this up. So I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Is this only one of 2 movies he did with James Cameron?
Well, he did 3 technically. Well,
Terminator 2 is James Cameron.
Yeah,
Sorry.
He did 2 Terminators and a True Lies. I think that's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. Terminator 2 kind of makes up for this a little bit, but I couldn't help but to think about Terminator 1 and this movie, because both have nukes in it, right? And like the nuke scene, for example, in Terminator, nukes are, of course, bad, right? Terminator 2 as well. Nukes are terrifying. And this, he uses a nuke as like a fun punctuation on a scene. And I think that's a very, I don't know, I love that comparison. Or another version is in Terminator 1, Arnold breaks a window in that movie. He also breaks a window in this movie. And it's 2 ridiculously different tones to those scenes. And I guess I want to talk about how Arnold Schwarzenegger is being used by James Cameron in these 2 movies at the beginning, and not the end of his career, but at like the peak of his career.
At the peak, for sure.
Is that James Cameron used Arnold in that first movie to play basically a slab of meat and metal. Like has no personality. That's the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is how Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of his early career was, right? When he plays an action guy, and this is also 80s action, where the action hero is always like kind of the butt of the joke. They're always weird. You know, like Commando, he's like running around with those logs at the beginning.
He's a maniac, yeah.
They're not real people. They're basically murder robots, like the Terminator. And I think it's interesting to now watch James Cameron do another Schwarzenegger film, and we kind of have the exact opposite. And it's almost like James Cameron is like, sorry, Arnold, like I kind of typecast you as like a motionless straight man. Let's have you be like a suave, charming, clever spy who has a very real and grounded family life. Like that is a really great like evolution of where Arnold had gotten at this point, to me, as like he's a human in this. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
To a degree, yes. But yes, no, I understand what you mean. He's 3-dimensional.
Right. That's the thing about this movie is it's silly, it's over the top, it's cartoony, but the humans, the people, are real emotional people who react the way people would to these situations as much as they can.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, this is, it's heightened reality. This is a superhero movie, like you said.
100%. But like to just have Cameron, Arnold's so expressive in this.
He is. What I like about Arnold is that he has a different kind of arc too, because the arc begins with him being awesome, and he sort of has to not learn humility, but learn.
He makes room for his family and his wife.
Yeah, and he's like kind of not likable in the first half of the movie. Like he's blatantly flirting with Tia Carrere to the point that almost blows the mission. And in my
horny.
mind, I didn't notice this before. In my mind, because Tia Carrere is so quickly connected to the villains by the filmmaking, like not immediately, but they pretty quickly show us she's a bad guy.
Right.
So in my mind, I sort of always remembered it as, oh, he stops and flirts with her because he's securing her as a potential source because he realizes she's working with the bad guys. No, I didn't notice it before, or I didn't remember it, but I noticed this time where he pushes back when Tom Arnold and Grant Heslov come to him and are like, she's fucking bent, she's crooked. He's like, no, she cannot be. She's an art dealer.
Right.
So he was just blatantly flirting
with her,
with this hot ass woman because he's enjoying the life of being a super spy and forgetting about his family all at home. And that is his attitude right up until the point he discovers that his wife may be cheating on him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it just tears his fucking life open.
Right.
And from there on,
he completely goes on tilt to the point where it escalates. He's putting bugs on her phone. He's following her. And then it escalates to the point where he pulls agents off of the main mission of watching the bad guys to follow his wife to Bill Paxton's trailer.
And the movie actually shifts that attention because up until that point, his wife and his daughter are just
they're barely in it. And it seems like it's going to be a buddy movie between Arnold and Tom Arnold.
Right, exactly. The Arnolds.
Yeah.
And then
Arnold to Arnold.
Yeah. They should make that movie.
They should.
It can't be this one. And then they share the action too. That's part of it. Jamie Lee Curtis gets more and more of the action, as does her daughter. It's a neat little game, like a little shift that they're doing. And I couldn't help but imagine a horror movie version of this, like The Guest, where it's like secret agent James Bond then gets like completely on tilt about his wife cheating on him and goes on a rampage.
And becomes a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah. And he kind of does become a nightmare in this. Again, it's weird because I was thinking at first, this character, one of the neat things about it is it doesn't really need to be played by Arnold. And what I mean by that is it doesn't really need to be played by a muscle man.
No, it doesn't.
Like Pierce Brosnan could have played this role.
Yeah.
He's more trying to be suave and charming. Again, he's clever. The first scene is about how he's clever and smart. He speaks perfect Arabic, as we're told.
It's a very funny joke in the subtitles.
Yeah. I'm guessing that they do that because
his accent.
The reality is the opposite.
His accent must be nuts. I was thinking about that when I was watching it for this episode, where he's speaking, all those different languages to people. Like, because we made the point at the beginning of this episode that one of Arnold's catchphrases is a noise, and it's like one of his biggest assets as an actor, as like a pop culture figure, is his accent, and it is so distinct. So that must sound wild, just as wild in other languages. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, that guy's got to be like, what the fuck did that man say to me?
Well, because as soon as he says that, the guy immediately calls security, and that's when Arnold has to flee. Well, at least actually he's supposed to flee, but that's when he starts doing the tango with Tia Carrere.
Right. And so, it's very Bond. Him saying sorry to civilians too felt very Bond, where he's trying to be polite. Like he's playing a secret agent. He's playing a suave secret agent. And he's very act first, think later. Right. He almost jumps a horse off a skyscraper. Right. Again, and it all works for his character because of what he does. Right, because of the darkness he invites in his life.
Right. He's single-minded to the point of being oblivious, and that's his character.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do a very good job at what you're saying, where it's like he's not really a good guy.
He's not.
He doesn't listen to Jamie Lee Curtis when they're hanging out.
No,
he doesn't seem to care about his family at all. Like when he gives
his daughter a present that Tom Arnold bought for her. Like,
yeah, he forgets his wedding ring.
They make it clear that Tom Arnold's his handler. So like it's not like unusual that like Tom Arnold will be like, okay, here's your cover story for the weekend. Here's all the stuff. Here's this gift that you should have bought. Oh, here's your wedding ring. You almost fucking forgot that shit. Like Tom Arnold like withholds him from it for a little bit in that scene because you remember he's letting him walk inside and then he says,
you forget something.
Forget something, buddy. Like he's trying to point out to him that he's not paying attention to his family, but like. It's so at the same time the movie is pointing out to us it's like his handler, his weird thrice divorced, kind of crass friend knows more about his family than he does.
Yep. And then his reaction is, what a team. So he doesn't even,
Nope.
it goes right past
Goes
him.
right,
It goes
through
right
him.
over
Yep.
his head.
Does
Yeah.
not catch the significance of that.
Right. And he starts slowly noticing his family's falling apart.
They're pulling
His daughter, who by the way is Eliza Dushku.
Eliza Dushku, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is her first role, but
I'm not sure, but it's definitely, I think it's the first movie I ever saw her in.
yeah. She's stealing from Tom Arnold.
She sure is.
Yeah, she's and that you get this idea, Tom Arnold, which we'll talk about, the great darkness within his character.
Oh man, yeah.
Tom Arnold has always been the most divorced man. Like as an actor, it's like he looks divorced.
It exudes from his every pore.
Yeah, and they play into that.
And
but
I'm sure he would be the first person to agree with that description of himself.
And I mean, yeah, in this movie, he's Arnold's future is the idea.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, yeah, welcome to your future, man. This is what you're going to be. You're going to be this husk of a man like me. And it makes sense because of the career. And like, it does present an impossible situation that can only be solved by the most ridiculous of plot. I guess plot holes.
It's not
the idea that Jamie Lee Curtis is a spy at the end is very silly.
It's ridiculous. Obviously, it's a fantasy movie, but like the conflict is not. I wouldn't call the conflict impossible.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it is very, very common.
I think, what they do, the reveal they do, which I really like, because he finds out she's cheating on her. He goes to bring her lunch, and he thinks that's going to smooth over him missing his own birthday party that they spent a lot of time. And so again, he's oblivious, and then he just gets gut punched by this idea that she's cheating on him, and like it completely throws off his shit. But I think what truly is the thing that does it is later obviously the striptease scene when he realizes that. It's when he starts asking her about it. It's all right. It's a few stages because he realizes she's cheating on him, but then he realizes that she's as amazing of a liar as he is. Yeah. Like when he asks her about her day and she makes up this lie on the spot.
That is similar. It's similar to his lie because not only is she making up a lie on the spot that has a lot of detail, but it's about something that is so goddamn boring you tune out while you're listening to it. And that's a huge part of his cover story because he's supposed to be a computer salesman.
And then the striptease scene, he sort of realizes, like, she's also could do my job. Like, she's good at this.
She could do some of this, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she's can handle herself. And so it becomes these stages of, like, they do a good job at presenting this idea of like, yeah, she could be a spy by the end because you're like,
because it's a gradual step as each. I mean, we're basically getting to Jamie Lee at this point.
Yeah, we are, but it's hard not to talk about her in this. But in terms of his character, I just think there's this like very long slow burn arc that he's going through with his relationship with his family of these people that he sort of wrote off, and then they become it's really good because he basically starts as a very two-dimensional character, and we keep adding dimensions to him, and until he feels by the end like a pretty fleshed out person. It's great.
It's I don't know. It's a nice moment when it sort of culminates when she's struggling to get out of the limo and it's careening all the road. He's trying to grab her and they just can't. And he finally just looks her in the eye and says, "Come on, baby." And she like just it's such an awesome moment. That's what it all built to.
Yeah.
And then they grab hands and it's the shot where the limo falls out from under her and they lift her up out of the helicopter. It's awesome, Dave.
It's awesome.
Awesome arc.
It's hard to. There's so few action films like this. And what I mean by that is take this film, remove the Jamie Lee Curtis stuff, remove his family, you would still probably get a middle of the road action film, right? But it would be an hour and a half, and the arc would just be we have to get the bad guy. Yeah. Maybe he has a love interest. Maybe she gets in danger. And so like just it's so nice to watch an action film that's like, let's put a whole other dimension to this and give him this really like cool character arc throughout. On top of this kind of, like whatever action plot.
Right,
what I mean by that is like
it's a pretty boilerplate action movie.
Yeah, he has to stop terrorists from blowing something up.
Blowing up the dropping a nuke. There's a million movies that have done that since the 70s.
Right. It's such a fucking fresh. It's still fresh. Like, that's what's wild about it. Like, you look at a movie like White House Down, which is a movie I enjoy. But you look at, like, what is the arc in that? It's like, oh, he's got to win his daughter's fucking respect. And it's like, yeah, that feels like most action movies again. That's one, I would say that's a higher tier arc.
Right.
It's like Die Hard tends to be I'll just go ahead and lump that in with Die Hard. Die Hard tends to be a higher tier arc, right? Where they do a little more than some,
I would put Die Hard pretty close to this.
Yeah, I'm talking about the character arcs themselves, where it's you have your real basic ones, your real forgettable ones, where they barely give them an arc. It's usually a romance. Then you have your I would say Die Hard. There's probably a few steps before Die Hard, but Die Hard does a lot more work. It has more fleshed out side characters, has a more
and it leans into the hero's faults like this movie does.
Die Hard with a Vengeance, it's basically Samuel Jackson calling him racist most of the movie. And it's that's awesome.
And he's got a hangover because and
he's got a hangover.
He says he's on suspension and he fucked up his marriage again. I love. That's a great movie. Yeah, they really jettison it in the fourth one and just make him a superhero. But I love that third one where he's just he's such a disaster of a man.
Oh yeah, but the fourth one had the right instinct of team him up with fucking a nerd that he doesn't respect.
Sure,
and have his daughter be just as fucking fierce as him. Like they understood a little bit of the assignment. I would say.
Yeah, it's not the fourth one's not terrible.
But I think this is top tier. True Lies, and
sure.
Arnold. I mean, he's fucking great in this. We should talk about side characters. I feel like we already are.
We are. Yeah, let's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Obviously. I mean, I don't think she qualifies because I don't think she's a side character.
She's not, but where do we talk about her?
I don't know.
Because we have to.
We have to. I mean, again, the key is that she's a maniac, because otherwise she would have super divorced Harry after he kidnapped and interrogated her. It went so far when he fucking uses a SWAT team.
So far over the top and has her in an interrogation room grilling her about her sex life. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's you have to make her an adrenaline junkie who's just as fucking fucked up as him. Yeah. And then again, I think they earned the idea that their daughter would steal this nuke key and run, because that's one of those things where it's if it was any other character, I'd be like, why? No one would do that. No hostage would do that. But I had a moment where I was like, that's not realistic, is it? And then I thought about her parents and this, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I can buy it. She gets on a crane. Imagine being a terrorist and your hostage does that. What are the fucking odds? They're having a terrible time.
You're having such a bad time. You've really lost control there.
Yeah, come the fuck
as
on.
He's climbing up that crane after, he must be thinking that. He's like, God damn it, man.
I really fucked with the wrong family.
I guess we should have tied them up, huh?
Yeah. We mentioned the main villain. He is pretty cool. He jumps on that Harrier jet. He makes risks. He's an action star.
Oh yeah, he's ballsy, man. He has legitimate grievances.
Yeah.
But he's also a bad guy.
Oh yeah, he's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy.
They were all bad.
They were all bad.
Do you have? I have some small characters, but do you have anybody you want to shout out?
I mean,
there's two obvious ones.
Yeah, there's Simon and Faisal.
Yeah, so Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Let's just get it out of the way. It's the role he was born to play.
Oh, yeah. He's a used car salesman who is lying his ass off to women to try to get laid. And by his own admission, it doesn't work most of the time.
It doesn't work. And here's the best part. At the end, we learn he's still doing it.
He's still to me.
He gets so this movie comes to a screeching halt for Bill Paxton. Everybody clears the way. Everybody takes a seat and goes, "All right, Bill Paxton."
They have an entire genuinely. It sounds like Dave's being a superlative for comedy, but there's genuinely a scene where it's every other main character all just sitting in awe of Bill Paxton.
Yes.
He goes to meet Jamie Lee Curtis, and Arnold and Tom Arnold are listening on the listening device. So it's the three of them just sitting there in awe of him for an entire scene.
Right.
It's incredible.
I love they present him as, oh, is this guy
we don't know.
spook?
Yeah, we don't know at first.
Yeah. And then we just learn, like, no, he's a complete dead end, but he has a prop suitcase that he uses to pick up women. Again, this is
full of like plane
tickets
and like money from other. It's probably like $20 and like money from Copenhagen, but it's like foreign currency.
He does the
and
work.
A pellet gun. He does the work. Yeah.
I can't stress enough. We're 40 minutes in when the movie should really like pick up, and we have this, and I'm so happy. He has the mustache. Man. It's not just that he just does this. He also proudly talks to other men about how he does it, as we learn. He just tells Schwarzenegger, it's amazing he hasn't been murdered by a husband before. Like, he just tells everybody.
Yeah.
The fucking, if not for me, do it for your country.
He was trying to sell a Corvette, man. I don't
Yeah.
He told all that stuff to Arnold.
It's incredible.
The do it for your country line.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And then he gets kidnapped by a SWAT team. He's never told what he did. Like, he never told actually what was happening. He just thinks he got accidentally mistaken for a real spy, right?
Yes. That is what they lead him to believe.
Yeah. And he never learns differently. He gets brought to a dam and convinced that he will be murdered.
Yeah, they're about to execute
terrified.
him and throw his body 400 feet down into a dam.
And if this was any other movie, if this was like a Sopranos episode, that's what would happen.
Yes, that is 1,000%. It would be Christopher and fucking Polly Walnuts arguing about how to get rid of his body.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't stress enough, after that, a year later, he's doing it again.
Mm-hmm. He learned nothing.
That is commitment. He learned nothing.
He's still taking real things in the news and taking credit for it.
Incredible. Fucking what a hero.
And as far as he knows,
scumbag.
As far as he knows, what happened to him a year ago is that he accidentally took credit for real spy shit and almost was murdered for it.
Yep. And he was like, you know what? Worth it.
Enough time has passed. I gotta get laid.
Yeah. What a fucking maniac.
He's
my God.
Incredible, man.
Incredible.
And I love this. I love the small detail that he lives in he lives in squalor. So he spends all of his money on his inventory at his used car lot and maintaining this fantasy, because his ultimate goal is to take Jamie Lee Curtis on a several day trip with him across Europe.
Yeah.
That's not cheap.
Yeah, or he was just going to fuck her, and then he was going to just go, I got to get
right, but I mean, the plane tickets themselves are expensive.
Oh, you're right.
He bought 2 of them, and it's like he's living in a junked out.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Mobile home that he's not taking care of. Like, he clearly has no money, but he has all these incredibly nice cars, including this Corvette he keeps taking out to try to land women, and he's spending money on Paris tickets. I just liked that detail about him.
Oh yeah. On the subject of Bill Paxton, they could have made a Nightcrawler type film about him.
Yes. He is ruining himself in the pursuit of married women.
Yeah. What a hero.
Man.
Also dark is Tom Arnold's character.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like him talking about his wife stole his ice cube trays. It's one of those things where like the whole time I'm like, well, what did you do?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He tells him that his daughter is probably stealing money to pay for an abortion. Mm-hmm. Well, why say that to Arnold Schwarzenegger? He could punch you in the throat.
Man, he could just
He helps his friend kidnap his cheating wife to set up an elaborate sex game with him. That's what he does. He sets up a fuck game for his friend with his wife.
Right, because do you remember why?
I assume because he's...
Well,
Arnold is just... he blackmails him.
When it starts to get real serious, he's like, dude, you're pulling agents off an active op. I have to stop you. And he's like, I will blackmail you because I know you blew a mission getting a blowjob one time.
That's so nuts. What a
yeah.
nuts fucking guy.
Yeah.
This agency needs to be shut down.
Dave, there would be like a multi-season documentary series about the downfall and scandal of this agency.
Yeah. Oh my God. Later in the film, they give Tom Arnold a gun, and I immediately felt unsafe in my own house. I was just like, no, don't give him a gun.
He shoots at Bill Paxton.
I know.
Remember? He's like, get lost, dipshit. Just shoots at his feet.
It terrifies me. But talking about the agency, I also have to talk about Cheston.
I want to talk about Cheston, and I want to talk about Faisal, who is Grant Heslov.
Yeah. Cheston is in a swivel chair with a fucking eye patch.
With a goddamn eye patch, Dave.
They have him for one
Cheston
scene.
in an eye patch for, I don't know, 130 seconds.
Yeah. What a terrible workplace he's created. Like, it's
the workplace that
so
could
on
only
edge.
have been created by Charlton Heston in an eye patch.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
It's like Team America. Like, it's over the top spy world, and he's just like, he's chewing the fucking scenery. It's so unnecessary. Like, you don't really need this scene. That's what's wild about it. Is like, you could have a scene where he's getting a debriefing, or rather a briefing about the bad guy by someone other than Cheston in an eye patch in this elaborate room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love the flavor it adds, but what a fucking ridiculous character.
Yeah.
I want to know everything about him.
Yeah, I want to know. I assume he started the agency.
Yeah.
The Omega Force or whatever it's called.
Yeah. I want to know about him. I want to know about Janice, the security maniac, who seems to have no friends, doesn't trust anyone, and it's part of her job to, like, she's ready to blow your brains out if you don't pass the fucking security check.
Have you seen security checks at, like, a power plant?
Yeah, I imagine it's strict.
It's pretty similar.
But it's amazing because it's like she lives just this life of solitude, at work at least.
She just looks like a normal person, like a cubicle worker, but she's this stone cold fucking assassin guarding the inner sanctum.
Her job is to just never trust her coworkers, and that's it.
Yep.
Who else?
Her job is to be ready to kill whoever tries to go through that door.
Right.
I want to talk about Grant Heslov as Faisal. Is the other guy in the van with Tom Arnold that has, like, in the first scene, he's just like, everybody's a bona fide maniac, but he has that scene where he's hacking into whatever and stealing information. Like, okay, I've got my hand up her dress and I am going. Right. Like, just copy the goddamn files. So he's
such a
I love his little
pervert.
little maniac debriefings. He has one of my favorite lines in the entire movie. It's in that
the sand spider.
The sand spider. Yeah. It's in the Cheston scene. Where he's
probably because of what is it?
He's giving Cheston the debrief, and they're talking about the bad guy, and they're like, they call him the Sand Spider, and Cheston says, "Now why is that? Probably because it sounds scary." But he says it like so officially.
It's really good.
Like we've exhausted our intel, and this is the answer we've come up with.
He's kind of amazing because I'm rooting for him the whole movie because he has his own little arc.
He does.
He's the guy in the van, and then he gets to actually kill some bad guys at the end.
And that's what I was kind of building to. It's like he's this kind of weirdo guy in the van, and then he stone cold fucking smokes like 4 dudes.
They do this thing, and I think it's a really smart idea, which is that they all seem like schmoes, like Tom Arnold and him. But then you realize, like, they went through the same training. They're just like they're just less like good at it as Arnold. So they're the people in the van, but they can fucking handle themselves. They're just as good. Right.
These are all like secret agents.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Shout out to the little wiener, this little shit dog they have. And he has to walk and drags along.
Dragging through
little
the rain.
piece of shit dog, yeah.
He's so mad.
It's so funny. Low battery henchman.
I love low battery henchmen.
That's one of my favorite arcs. It's a small arc, it's like its own little short film. He's filming the bad guy giving his like manifesto. Battery goes off, and he has a moment where he's like, "Do I pretend to keep filming?"
Right, because the bad guy is on a roll. Like he's like fucking. He's delivering the speech of a lifetime, and this fucking nervous ass henchman starts shaking more and more.
Yeah, and it's that moment of realizing, like, if I pretend, I'm gonna get in more trouble later.
Is it
like
worth?
that's the
right? It's every
yeah.
it's every argument you ever had in your head when you were a kid about, do I tell him that I did this, or
And this actor is giving the performance of a lifetime.
And fucking the bad guy, Art Malik, he's so funny when where he lowers the camera and he just like stops giving his speech and gives like the what the hell like hand gesture.
Yeah,
like, that was gold, man. I'm on fire. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's just
so
like
good.
Battery is east. And he's like, get a fucking another one.
Yeah.
It's just
shout out to
there's so many random little jokes like that.
There is. I wanted to whoever hosting the fancy party at the beginning who has a shed with explosive barrels, a stone throw from his home.
Right?
Does he not have an office? He's bringing his work home with him. That's his problem.
He's like some Swiss maniac with like a military harbor and so many barrels of crude oil.
Yeah. What is that event? He has ski henchmen on call.
He has like
who are just like in outfits ready.
He's got like generals and presidents there.
Yeah. Like, put your explosives somewhere else. You don't fucking shit where you eat, you know? Like, come on.
Couple of dudes who I can only assume are mobsters.
Right. I got to talk about the torture doctor because he's giving.
Torture doctor is pretty sweet.
Yeah, he's giving like ex-Nazi vibes, but he's too young, right? So that's just like the.
Well, yeah, he is.
He is. It's just the vibe he wants to give off to the world. Like that's his. He's just like, I want to give a real ex-Nazi doctor vibe, like a little Kevorkian in him too.
That's stolen valor day.
Yeah. But that guy, Jesus fucking Christ!
Cut that joke out. Yeah, this guy this guy is out of control.
He is.
He's such a cartoon character.
Yeah, it's like he's doing this on purpose.
Right.
It's real weirdo. This isn't them, but the two henchmen who he makes stab each other. It's just like, aw.
Oh yeah, when he's coming out of those guys. They try
That's
their
just
best.
a funny way to die.
I like the guy that's driving the limo.
Oh yeah.
He's just trying his best. He's like, can y'all not? I feel like I'm gonna get shot. And then
the big guy, right?
Yeah, the guy that's driving and gets shot while they're fighting.
He's a famous musician, apparently.
Oh, is he? He's throughout the movie.
Yeah, he's apparently like a violinist or.
Oh, really?
Someone will know. I think
I remember reading that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's weirdly famous in another field, which is really weird. Because imagine being like knowing him through that and then watching this movie. Like,
right? It's just some random henchman in True Lies.
Yeah,
well, the finest musicians in the world.
Yeah, they're not maniacs, but Arnold acts like they're nuts for asking this. The shout out to the pilots who ask if they're going to blow up the nukes when they blow up the bridge. I would ask.
Yeah.
I'd be like, just better safe than sorry. If I fire this missile at the truck with the nuke, is that going to be a problem?
I would clear that if I wasn't sure. And I'm not sure. I would ask that question.
Right.
Because I don't know.
Too.
I don't know. Is it going to blow up if I shoot it? I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. It doesn't seem dumb enough that I'm confident to shoot at it.
And here's the thing. If the answer was yes, you'd still maybe be like, yeah, you still have to shoot it. Because that's the thing, is it's kind of do or die right now.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's like that. Again, Arnold is impulsive. Like, it would be best to ask for, like, that the EMP of that might fucking take out my jet. I want to know if this is a suicide mission or not. What am I doing here? Yeah, that's all I have for best side characters.
Yeah. I think so.
Should we talk about the most Arnold?
Yes.
I have 3.
Let's hear them.
Stay.
Yep.
Slamming 2 dogs' heads together.
Yep.
Going, stay. Yeah, but they were all bad. And I think, though, this is probably the winner, is You're Fired.
You're Fired's pretty good. You're Fired's pretty good.
It's hard.
It's tough. There's a lot. Here were my picks.
All right.
You're Fired, obviously, but I also figured you'd go for that.
Yeah.
Stay. Banging the 2 dogs' heads together.
So good.
But I think mine has to be, my handcuffs. I have picked them.
Oh, that's so good.
Yep.
Also, Cool Off is pretty good. It's tough, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough one for that.
I think it's
but
just
we
the
don't
whole,
need a crown
I think
a
it's the
winner.
whole interrogation scene is just Arnold being a clown, and it's very funny. And then he gets out of it. It's a very funny idea to have Arnold just very patiently and clinically explain what the cool ass action thing he's about to do.
Yes,
and then do
is
it.
great.
It's very funny.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's such a good scene. It's kind of the peak moment where it's like he's been lying to her for so long, and now here's a moment where he has to tell the truth. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful fucking God, great fucking plot construction here. Like, what a good idea of like, yeah, we need a part where he has truth serum. And he's there with his wife, and they're gonna torture him. Like it's so good.
And it's the collision too. Like it's their torture chamber, and he's coming clean.
Yeah, so good. Time to give it a rating.
Oh,
This is between 1 in 50 spy sigs.
Shoot.
What are you thinking?
I'm gonna have to give it. Ah, man, it's so hard. I'm gonna give it
really
at
hard.
least 747 spy cigarettes. Because I assume that was the same as the plane that they were going to take to Paris.
You're right. All right, I agree with that. I'll go with that. It needs all the spy cigarettes you
Every
could
single
possibly
one of them.
throw in
Yeah,
it.
honestly, plant them everywhere, so you know if your kid's stealing from your weird friend.
Love this movie. Love this goddamn movie.
It's an incredible film.
Yeah. All right. That's it. We did it. We did True Lies. My fucking God. Thank you, Norm from Cheers.
We truly did.
We truly did. Truly, True Lies. What's next? Hold on. I'm going to look because I think it's going to start getting real dark. Let's see. True Lies.
I think it's Eraser or Jingle All the Way.
Let's see. It is Junior.
I was wrong, Dave.
True Lies and then Junior. So we have Junior next, and this is where things start going wrong because then we get Eraser, then we get Jingle All the Way, then we get Batman and Robin, then we get End of Days, The Sixth Day. Where's Terminator 3? Okay, that's after Collateral Damage. Yeah. Things are gonna get fucking dark.
Yep, this is the peak. We have reached the peak.
Yeah, and honestly, I want to make sure this is known. It doesn't matter after this. And what I mean by that is like, it's sort of that thing where like when Peter Jackson made The Hobbit, and I'm like, that's cool, man. I didn't love it, but you made me Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, Arnold, you're done. You can rest.
Yeah, you did it.
It's like Tony Stark.
You did the thing.
You did it. You did it. You saved us.
You won.
You did it all. Yeah. From here on, it's just fucking.
This is
gravy.
all gravy.
So,
yeah, you won. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Good work.
Yeah. No shoot, man. No kidding.
Go drive around fucking the PCH with your car, getting into accidents or whatever you do, cutting people off,
being a real fucking terror in your neighborhood,
being a little maniac. Yeah. Sweet. This was through our Patreon.
It sure was.
This through our Patreon. Patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. GAMEFULLY unemployed. You can get custom podcasts. There's exclusive podcasts on there. Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder's Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, Spiel Boys. Those are all there for $5 a month and more. We watch movies every Friday night with our patrons as well. Check all that out. Why don't you?
Yeah, do it. We also have a store. Head over to GameFullyUnemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So slap your True Lion peepers onto that.
Yes!
Yes!
And nukes! Do them! Nukes. Sure.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
okay.
Sure. That's how we're ending it.
Bye.
Australia